The Botcast. What was impossible is now possible. Don't resist it, embrace it.
Okay, welcome back everybody to the Botcast. My name is Dr. Andrew Timms, one of the hosts, but I've got my co-host, the brains behind this operation, Daniel. I just call you Doctor, buddy.
Yes, I could listen to that all day long.
Daniel Lyon, I'll take that doctor off, but I'll give you an honorary doctorate, buddy, for the day.
Honorary doctorate in bots.
I have the ability to do that. Sweet. So in this episode, we're going to talk about probably one of the most common questions we get asked, which is, why would I use a company that does bots and bots for businesses and industries rather than doing a bot and making it myself and using a free platform? Which is a very common question, and we're going to dive straight into answering it because there's a few reasons why it's so powerful to do so. So why don't we take it away, Daniel?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty well, and let's just run the caveat on this before we even get to the end. In the show notes, there will be a PDF on how to get started building your first bot if you do want to go that road. We certainly aren't wanting to necessarily just use this as a product pitch to just try and sell our services.
No.
We do want to help and give value and offer to those that can use it. But I guess the first aspect as to why you would use a company is the same reason that I've been expressing for years. Lots of people say, well, how are you going to build a business? Particularly like going back years ago when I was doing website development, and we were building websites on WordPress, which was a free platform.
Yeah.
But the number one reason people were happy to pay us to build them a website on a free platform was the fact that we had the ability, because of technology that we understand that they don't, to be able to build a better system. And that comes down to when you're building your bot, you could build a basic bot and you could build a reasonably good bot, but then you are always, as you want to expand it, as you recognize problems or solutions, in a sense that someone's come use the bot and you think, if only I could get the bot to do this, that we do face that. And so we as bot builders and coders have been able to develop our own applications. We've been able to develop coding and JSON API scripts and different functionalities like that, so that what we can do is we can host our own scripts when the bot does not operate the way it should do. Rather than just freezing up or giving you a default answer over and over and over again, it can trigger an API sequence which is going to do a callback onto our servers, get the information or run a post script or a HTTP post or whatever it is that we need it to do that'll notify the support desk, we take action, and the bot becomes better. It's also allowed us to integrate it with other apps, which it does not natively and naturally do. And when you build your bot, you can definitely get started using a free service. But when you consider and factor in all the hassle that you're going to come up against and go, well, I don't know how to get it to do that. And if I pay someone to do that, it's just an hour, I'll just get them to do it, and then I'm up and running. Developers are generally well into the hundreds of dollars an hour. And even if you went outsourcing overseas, you broke the English language barrier with your outsourcing person, you were paying them $5 an hour. One integration that we built just 2 weeks ago literally took 2 developers almost 2 full weeks of work to be able to create the integration. So now you've got 80 hours times 260 hours times $5. You've blown a year's worth of bot maintenance simply by paying someone to do one integration for you. So there's definitely the fact that if you want a very simple bot, you could do it yourself, but you will then eventually face problems where you just don't know how to do it or aren't able to do it. And that's where having a company like ours, like ChatFlow, where we build bots as a living, we do what we do best so that you can do what you do best. And Andrew, you found that yourself.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's exactly how we sort of got started, really, is, I was building a bot for my, chiropractic practice. And I know a decent amount about the online space, and I have designed my own websites, and, I've got a fairly good understanding of the basics. But again, I knew I could put some basic contents together and bot together, but I knew from the plugins and what was possible that there was so much more possible to make it so much more professional, but I didn't have that understanding, and that's why I brought you into the team, and I got a contact with you guys. I'm like, well, look, I know this is unbelievably crazy powerful, but I can only go so far in this journey. There's so much more that could be done with it, and it was just frustrating for me that I could only go so far.
Yeah, that's it. And that wasn't as romantic as the whole story about how we founded our company, but that was pretty much it in a nutshell.
That's right, exactly.
We can make a sequel about it one day or something, so feature movie.
Pinky in the brain.
But exactly, so yeah, exactly right, that's it. But that is really critically probably the main, or at least the first reason you're going to understand the value of having a company like ours build your bot for you. There is other factors into it, and I don't know how well we're going for time right at the minute.
Yeah, pretty good.
But pretty good, cool. So there is other aspects, but I guess what they do is they all do build towards the one final combination of industry leverage. And when you've kind of taken in the fact that, okay, well, if I build it myself, I've got to do that. If I build it myself, I've got to know how to do all the integrations and all the API calls and what have you. If I build it myself, well, then you've now faced another problem where you've got to do all the maintenance. You've got to do all the upkeep. You've got to do all the natural language. So when someone answers or asks, you've got to go back in there. Now, bot builders, when you use those free bot building platforms, they do good. But the thing is that they're a one-size-fits-all. And so the bot building platform that you choose, you say, well, why would I choose ChatFuel over ManyChat? Why would I choose ManyChat over FlowXO? Why would I choose FlowXO over Motion AI or over Botsify or API.ai or WIT or any one of the number of bot building companies out there? And if you do get that free download in the show notes there, you'll see that one of the last pages of that, we actually give you the list of our top 20 favorites or recommended as such bot building platforms that you can use to do it. But they've each got different elements that they've said, well, we'll kind of target this area or target that area. And one will do this really well, but it doesn't have that functionality. And the next one does this really well, but it lacks that functionality. And if you don't know how to bring it in yourself, you face those challenges. But one thing that they all lack is their natural language, because they can only do it so far. So then one of the main aspects of maintenance and update and upkeep on your bot is constantly improving the language. As the bot fails to recognize keywords and phrases and there's glitches and what have you, it's up to the bot builder or bot owner to go in and update that. And when you're using a service like ours, well, that's part of what you pay for, is you pay for us to make sure that it's being up to date, that when it fails to respond the first time, we make sure that it's not going to fail in the future because we're updating the language. But that would then become part of your responsibility to just be constantly attentive to it where you're going in. And the way that technology changes, like literally we have done a whole heap of upkeep and implementation of a certain API call, and then 2 days later had to literally go and redo it all over again simply because of the way that the internet changes so rapidly. And companies update something, and the minute one company updates something, well, maybe now what you were getting it to do won't actually talk to the other company that you're using for it because they've not updated their thing. And you just, what worked yesterday doesn't work today, and you've got to constantly be doing patches and fix on it to make sure that they do interact and talk to each other all the time. And so there's a big factor as to why you would want a service like ours.
Yeah, and people these days have less and less and less tolerance for like little frustrations like that. You know, back in the day there used to be some loyalty, but now like you get someone to get a default message a few times and it's not going to come back. You know what I mean? They're just going to say, well, this bot or this interaction just doesn't work, so I'm not going to use it. Which is a big shame.
Yeah, and we had a really, really funny experience back early in the day. We had a bot that just, it ended up with an open-ended question. And I don't know how we missed it, but the thank you message had, and so it was getting the thank you, was that's okay, is there anything else I can do for you today kind of thing. And then the no thanks said, sure, well, if there's anything else, let me know. And that was the default message. And so we had a user using it. And of course, got to the end of it, whatever, they've gotten their services and they gave us the thumbs up. And so I said, great, glad could be of assistance. Is there anything else I can do? And so So then the person said, no thanks. So the bot responded with, okay, well, if there's anything else, just let me know. She said, okay. So when she said okay, well, then it responded with, great, glad I was able to help. Is there anything else I can do? And it went in a circle for about 5 or 6 times. And the person was like in caps locks going, would you just shut up? And the bot's going, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Perhaps you could rephrase that. And as a tech team, we were literally sitting here just almost wetting ourselves in laughter looking at this situation. But to understand it was funny, and it is funny to talk about it, but the frustration that the customer went through was not a good experience. And because as a tech team we were able to see this happening in real life environment, we were watching it take place, we were able to step in, take over, and then, of course, update the AI and remove some of those open loops and redo some of the sequencing of it so that it wouldn't do it to the next customer. But, of course, if you didn't get onto that, you could really irritate a lot of people.
Exactly.
They're going to say, don't go use this company's bot because it's just annoying.
Just don't say thanks.
Yeah, just that's it. Don't say thanks and give them open-ended questions. So there's definitely that factor of the maintenance is a big critical issue. And then I guess all of that builds to the point where in coming to your AI, you get industry leverage. So when you work with a company like ours, what we often find is that you would have experienced this. You use a service, and when you're happy with the service, you speak to someone else in your industry, because generally doctors are friends with doctors and plumbers are friends with other plumbers or tradies and farmers are friends with farmers, like people congregate together. So when you find something that's working well for you, you're more of the mindset to refer someone else and tell someone else, hey, you should use this. I've been getting great results out of this. Perhaps you should try it as well. And then they do. And that's what we find. We have a lot of people where they're in the same industry or at least a very similar industry. And so because of that, we've been able to test and modify from the first one to the 10th one, what have you, as people have come in, to be able to optimize the bot and the AI and all of that. So when you come in and use a service like ours for your industry, we can build a bot that's already 10 steps more advanced than what you could start with, because you're trying to build the wheel from scratch and you're starting with a fresh work that you've got to try and mind map it out. You've got to figure out, well, what sequences am I going to use? What's going to work for my customer? And you're going to have to test it and split test it and optimize it and go through a few months process of figuring out, well, how do I the most efficient and the most effective for my customers? And you're going to be constantly building on that. Whereas when you use a bot building service like ours, where we've been able to do that and go through that process already, when you start, you get a bot that is already efficient, optimized, and effective because it's already been trialed and split tested over other businesses. And so what you're getting is actually you're getting the benefits and all the results of their hard-earned money and hard effort of going through that sequence themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, for example, like you take the chiropractic profession is, imagine like if I had one bot just for my business and that bot you only saw the interactions that the people that interact with your bot is, you're only going to get, that bot's only going to get so smart. It's only going to answer so many questions. But if you have a platform where you're seeing 1,000 chiropractic practices around the world, and you're seeing every interaction that every single person is having with the bots and the questions they're asking, every single one of those practices is going to benefit from the other one and all the questions that are being asked on every single bot. That's where the power really comes in, is it enables your bot to get smarter and smarter and smarter from the interactions that you're having with thousands of bots, rather than just being on your own little island, like your own little website, and it's only going to go so far.
Right, exactly. And that's what sells in marketer courses, in the sense that you've got these giant marketing companies and you sign up to their funnels and you go, oh, wow, these guys write amazing emails. But the thing is that they've got this huge company with a team of copywriters and image people and what have you, putting these marketing emails together, and then you say, well, I'm trying to do email marketing in my own little business, but it's all me. I've got to try and come up with this, and I'm not a copywriter. I don't know graphic design. I don't know what images to use, and it's a real struggle. And so then the marketing companies like Neil Patel and all of these guys put on the thing. It's like, oh, and we'll teach you copywriting and da-da-da. And you think, well, that's great, but I've got to learn a new skill. But then they say, plus as the added bonus, we're going to throw in our entire database of keywords plus email funnels so that you've just got to swap the name, but the email's already pre-written. And it's those benefits, in a sense, the bonuses, that actually sell the courses, because people go, great, it's a done-for-me service.
Yep.
I've had someone in a marketing team design the email, but because of mass leverage, they're able to give it away at a fraction of the price of what it would cost you to get. I mean, talking to a guy I know up in Townsville, and he's been in the copywriting industry for years, and like he writes for magazine articles and that, and GM pay him, and he was saying about how he did this one ad for I can't remember which company it was, whether it was for Mercedes, BMW. It was one of the top companies anyway. And he did this ad, and it was about 2 paragraphs of text. And he charged them $300,000 for 2 paragraphs of text. And they paid it. And he put the ad together for this magazine for one of those Wheels or Drive or whichever it was. But they paid him $300,000 for one ad simply because of the results that he's pulled with the power of words. So when he starts doing a course for $2,000 and gives you his templates, you say, well, that's fantastic, because I would have had to pay $300,000 for that. I get his templates. So in the same way, you're in that regards where you're benefiting from the value of leverage because they're able to give it away to lots of people. That's what we're talking about here. The little chiropractor who's just a one-man show is getting the results where he might only get asked 10 questions a week on his bot, but the really big giant chiropractic health and wellness centers getting 100 questions a day. The AI, the information, the requests, all of that is then being able to be put into your bot so that the 10 questions that you do get a week are now top-notch responses, not just hit and miss ones that you lose momentum with. And that's probably the number one reason why so many people start a bot and give up, is because, like what we found talking to this guy the other day, and he said he started building his own one, but he just couldn't get it to talk the way he wanted it to talk, and it wouldn't work the way he wanted it to work, so
And
he gave up.
in digital marketing.
And he's in digital marketing, but bot building was not his skill.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So industry leverage is definitely probably the most critical benefit to using a bot building company like ours, is that you're getting the value of other people's bots built into your bot.
Yeah. And the thing is, everything to do with marketing, everything to do with people's businesses, is the fact that we're wanting to try and find things that create less work for us. You know,
right,
like
exactly.
as you know, everyone. You speak to everyone these days. Everyone's busy, and everyone has so much stuff to do, and they don't have any time. And if you understand, if you've been listening to the podcast, you're starting to grasp how powerful a bot is. Right? It's really an incredibly, incredibly powerful tool. And if you are doing it yourself and you have the time to do it yourself, that's fantastic. But if you are doing it yourself, it's going to be one of those things where, you look at the social media, you need to be posting on Instagram at least 4 times a day and Facebook 4 times a day. Like, how many companies in the world actually do that? They might do it for 1 or 2 days, but then they just lose interest and they never get a chance to do it. And it's the same thing that happens with the bot. You don't want to have something that really has the potential to be one of the most powerful online marketing platforms ever, and not been able to take full advantage of that.
Exactly. And it's just by using people, like you say, about posting on social media, let alone 4 times a day. I can't even do it once a week. I hate posting. I don't even really utilize my own Facebook feed in that. And so that's the thing, is that, well, you recognize it's got to be done, but I'm not going to do it. And if it was left up to me, I wouldn't do it. And so that's it. We have employees on our team. Their whole sole job is to sit there all day long posting on my Facebook feed, on our personal, on our professional, on our businesses. They're doing it all so that we don't have to do it, and that works well. And something happened yesterday. I had my wife helping me. She wanted to come and help me, and within 20 minutes she said, I don't know how you sit here and do this all day. It's driving me nuts. Yeah. That's the thing, is that I love doing this because it's what I do best and it's what I get enjoyment out of. But yet my wife doesn't, and so to her it was a pain and a hassle. So if bot building was left up to me, we'd have a fantastic bot. If bot building was left up to my wife, we wouldn't have one, and we'd probably end up with a broken computer because of it being thrown. No, my wife doesn't have a temper like that at all, but she certainly would walk away from it and say, I give up, I'm not doing this because it's too frustrating. And so there is that factor that if you're into tech and you love dabbling and playing with it, then it might work. But if you're not, you're probably going to just find it a burden and a hassle because it's not your skill set or your interest.
Put on the plate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, awesome, mate. That was huge value. That was brilliant. We've gone even more time than our last one. We're getting longer and longer, not shorter and shorter.
Longer. We've got to try and keep these down to 15.
Exactly. We'll try our best. Well, awesome.
That's it.
That's brilliant. I hope you...
Don't forget the show notes. That there is that PDF there if you do want to dabble with it.
Awesome.
About 18, 20 pages of how to do it.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I'll make sure that goes in the show notes. And thanks, everyone, again. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got great value out of that. And also, really greatly appreciate everyone coming on. Please jump on iTunes, rate, review. The more times you do that, the more people that do that, the bigger exposure this can have and the more people we can help. So thanks again.
Absolutely.
And thanks, Daniel, for jumping on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. If you value your life, you won't keep this a secret. Subscribe, rate, and review, or we will find you.